2003, I started spending time in South Africa. While working there on various projects, I just began to collect a lot of beads. I'd see people on the side of the street beading these incredible things. Little by little, I began to see that they just weren't there anymore. And I began to ask, well, where are the beaders? After a little bit, someone responded to me and it's like, well, Selven, they're just not coming back because, they're going on to other things. There's a chance that a couple of generations into the future, this won't exist anymore because people won't know how to do it. I wanted to do a project that kind of addressed that, with these beads. And I saw these beads as just a material, just a medium. So I just wondered if I took this idea out of its natural habitat and landscape and placed it into a different context, especially if I could transport some of these beaders to another culture and have a broader conversation about things vanishing from people's culture. And that's how this came about with the beads. I was approached by LEVANT Foundation. She talked to me about wanting to do a project with refugees. And so I started somehow thinking about what it must feel like for someone to travel hundreds of miles to come to a place based on an idea in their minds, what that place is, what that place represented. And I started thinking about the word leisure as it related to that, because leisure is just such an expansive word. I mean, you break it down and it's anything from, idle time, freedom, respite. I begin to imagine for a person, that's leaving a space fraught with all kinds of detriment, and they're looking for another place in their mind that gives them a certain sense of hope or freedom. I came up with the idea of thinking about a rocking chair. Those two dynamics by itself in its own minimal way conjures up a sense of idle time, relaxation, and fits into the broader word of leisure. So I proposed to the LEVANT Foundation to do this social sculpture piece of these 7 rocking chairs that spells out the word leisure with towering backs, and I named it Leisure Towering. The whole beaded part of it, was the part that I was proposing to do with the refugees from the different places. It was INTERFAITH and UNICEF that brought the people together from these different countries. I think the countries represented was Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Guatemala. It was 13 countries represented, 22 different languages, 60-something people in all. It's pretty dynamic. First of all, the room at INTERFAITH Ministries was just incredible. That gave me a lot of variance in terms of what I could do with that room, with so many people from different backgrounds. That was kind of the first thing that we factored into the equation. Was like, how do we get people to work together when they're really strangers?
Good job, excellent.
Some of the outcomes were just so crazy incredible. And I say that because these were things that I could not have written into the proposal that just kind of blew me away. Which probably made this beading session the best that I've ever experienced, ever. This was a kind of an uncontrolled setting. There was so much potential for anything to kind of happen, with people not knowing each other, the different age groups from 5 to 17, I believe. And then the facilitators themselves. Everything was moving just so smoothly and so wonderful, and just like a charm, it's working. And then something magical happened where the rep from UNICEF came up with this brilliant idea to invite people up to the podium to introduce themselves, say what country they were from, and to pick a song and play it. Interestingly enough, here we are listening to music from all of these different places, and you begin to see this whole cultural phenomenon. If people weren't already communicating, they were during the process of this. And before that was all done, people were dancing with each other and communicating in ways that they hadn't already, and the work continued while this was going on. That was magic to me. This is social sculpture, where you're inviting people into the process to make this piece. First, it's like what was made, this thing, this object, but it's like who actually took time to bead all of these beads and put this together? And so it feeds into the narrative of what it is. And with this Leisure Tower, it definitely feeds into it because we're actually talking about the very people whose hands participated in making it. the two Syrian kids that were beading, they started off beading, and they were just so happy being there, and of course that was candy, that was food, and that was candy, and so they kept going back to the candy table eating candy. I guess the sweets kicked in and they needed to move around, and so for the rest of the day they beaded some, and then they were just running around happy. That was meaningful to me. A couple of reasons. They were probably 6 and 7, something like that. And I know how long the Syrian war has been going on. So I saw that, and it was like, probably all their life, the only thing they've ever known was probably the war that's been going on. And so for me, seeing this happiness and seeing them run around, and also the look in their eyes, this sincerity and feeling comfortable to go up to anybody and ask anything, the freedom to do that was very meaningful to me. Everyone, I think, could use good memories, things to remember your childhood, help you to expect good things in your life based on it. And this was the same thing. I would hope that this project will be reflective in that way, that they'll think back on it. I remember at this point in time, we had this great experience, and that they would share it with other people.